feeling that you're not good enough, you're not smart enough, or you're not talented enough, feeling that you need certain things, material things, or different structure to feel or fit in somewhere. All these are because you do not understand your self-worth. If you do not have boundaries, that means you're setting yourself for the world to treat you whatever. If you are still struggling with your self-worth, you cannot make better decisions. Your self-worth has a lot to do with you. When we struggle with self-doubt, negativity, self-criticism, we lower our confidence to pursue our goals and dreams. But also, it contributes to not making or not being able to make proper decisions that are in our best interest. Only those affects completely our general lifestyle. Self-worth is the foundation upon which our personal growth is built on. It's the sense of values and confidence we have within ourselves. And it plays a crucial role in different areas of our lives, in our relationships, in our careers, and our overall well-being. So as we navigate in our daily lives, as we face daily challenges, life ups and downs, it's really important that we prioritize our self-worth. Not only prioritizing, we need to understand our self-worth. This is a great key to our happiness and living our life in fully or in fulfillment. We may feel stuck in a rut, unsure of how to break free from the cycle of self-doubt, negativity that hold us back. Low self-worth can lead to anxiety, depression, and the lack of motivation, making it even harder to make decisions that progress our goals in our lives, our dreams and careers. So it's really important we understand first and foremost what is self-worth. Before we get to the definition of what is self-worth, and this might be according to how I believe or from just little research I've done here and there, you might have a different, because this is individual. Every individual have their own different, or that their sense of self-worth can vary from individuals. Before we get into that definition, I want us to check or speak about the consequences of low self-worth. Actually, low self-worth is what brings us negative talks. You know, those self-negative talks? It's because of how we feel ourselves, or how we describe ourselves, or how we sense that value of worthiness within ourselves. That is where self-criticism comes from. Negative self-talks. All that comes from there. Feeling that you're not good enough, you're not smart enough, or you're not talented enough. Feeling that you need certain things, material things, or different structure or shape or whatever materialistic stuff to feel or fit in somewhere. All these are because you do not understand your self-worth. It makes even sometimes harder for people to communicate effectively. You know, it affects greatly in relationships because of their low self-worth. Sometimes when they meet people that have, developed themselves, they feel like they can't fit in. Those people appear to be too much for them because of those standards. Because if you are still struggling with your self-worth, you cannot make better decisions. You cannot have boundaries. And in this life, if you do not have boundaries, everyone is going to step and jump over you. That is how life is. We need boundaries in our relationship. Those positive boundaries in our relationships, in our careers, in our job, in businesses, in workplaces, in every area of our lives. If you do not have boundaries, that means you're setting yourself for the world to treat you whatever or however it feels. People will treat you however they feel. That is when you are available for everyone. That's when you are everywhere, because you do not have boundaries. You are yet to identify your self-worth. It can also manifest as people-pleasing, overachieving, or perfectionism. When you think that you need to achieve many things, so that you can be titled as someone. This is also a manifestation of low self-worth. When you think you need to be attached yourself to certain people so that you can be titled or you can be understood as someone. In a different language, it is when you try to put yourself on something, so you can try to make yourself visible, thinking that you are not visible enough. Like, people do recognize you, but you are doing extra for people to recognize you. And there is a different idea of what visibility means to you. You cannot come and have a photo with Jennifer because you're like, who is Jennifer? Who knows Jennifer? So you're like, you need the people you want to accompany yourself with, the people with titles or people with big names or people maybe who dress in a certain way, so that you are also described as someone. But that doesn't add any value. Not only value, it doesn't increase your self-worth. Self-worth is something that is within you. Self-worth has nothing to do with the outside materials. Self-worth has a lot to do with you, with your personality, with your values. So if you're a people pleaser, look, I used to be. It's just sometimes there are things we do without even us knowing. Myself, I used to think, to be a good person, how sometimes, the culture, we are told, be kind, be nice people. And most of us really pretend, to be nice instead of being real. So we want to be nice, and being nice, that means in most of our languages, even myself, there is to know being nice, that means you cannot say no if someone needs help. So you find yourself, you struggle with no's. And that brings us to boundaries. When someone, I need you to attend my event, I need you to do this, you find it really difficult to make that decision. If I say no, she might feel bad, she might not call me again, they might not invite me. None of those matters. If you understand who you are, it's your self-worth that will help you even set your boundaries. It is that sense of your self-worth that we create a room for you, even to be invited in places that you never thought that you could be invited. So because of this low self-worth, people try to force in finding validation. We all have different ways of how to find validation. I must be seen. I must do this to be recognized as this. This is what gets or leads to depression, frustration, unhappiness, even confusion. Many people now, we are living in an era where people are completely confused of whom they really are, because they want to compete with everybody. They want to compare themselves with everybody. They want to do what everybody else is doing. This is what is making people all feeling overwhelmed, anxiety, depressed, because the world is really running the speed of 5G. It's more than even that. It's on a very high speed. So if you try to compete, well, you might get stuck somewhere. So how can we break free from this cycle of low self-worth and unlock our true potentials and live the life that we are created to live and be the happy people that we wish to be? How could we do that? One good news about self-worth is that self-worth is not fixed. It can be developed, strengthened, and improved to the best version that you want. And that it can transform over time. It can change. And that transformation that happens in that self-worth manifests in you. That is when you become the best version of yourself. That is when you become that person that you genuinely, truly love yourself. You feel happier without any other thing surrounding you. But this needs a conscious effort. Please understand this clearly. It needs a conscious effort to focus on your strengths, to your qualities, characteristics, your personal goals, your values, and your life experiences. So it needs that conscious awareness of yourself, your background, your cultures, your traditions, where you came from, your values, your beliefs. When you bring them all into that consciousness, awareness, and now looking at them again, evaluating and analyzing them, trying to define yourself according to those values, your life experiences and the cultures and traditions and everything, and your beliefs, trying to know who you truly are. That when you start becoming authentic about yourself, that is when you will be able to let go of the perfectionism and validations. Now you truly start accepting yourself for who you truly are. And by doing so, you'll be getting closer to elevating your self-worth. Another important steps to achieve this is please try your very best to stop focusing on your failures and weaknesses or even past experiences. Because you know what is past. No matter how you regret, no matter how you talk yourself down, no matter how you beat yourself up, it doesn't or it will not change. The past has happened. Nothing that you do now that will change that past. The only thing you can change is what you can do tomorrow. That is the only thing that you can change. So focus more on your strengths and at least the past achievements and accomplishments. If you observe, how did I achieve this? How did you get through this difficult time? Then you bring those strengths of how you overcame that battle, that challenge in the past years. How can you make it and add to knowledge that you have now, resources that you have now, education that you have now, and the resources and how can you add into those for you to step forward, to make better decisions today and tomorrow? What is gone is gone. Let go of it. Beating yourself won't change what happened yesterday. Acknowledgement is very important. Acceptance is very important. You may have gone wrong somewhere. You might have done mistakes yesterday. You failed yesterday, but what about tomorrow? Yesterday is gone. It's not going to come back. It is gone. So try your very best to always focus on your strengths and accomplishments or achievements, things that you have done good, you have done great. Hold on to that strength. It's the only thing that can take you to where you want to be. But what is most important into building your self-worth or elevating your self-worth is when you become mindful of everything that you do, mindful of your surrounding. When I'm speaking about mindfulness, it's self-awareness. Become self-aware. This is something that we have been speaking a lot on this channel. Self-awareness. Act consciously. Be aware of your thoughts. What type of thoughts are going on? What are the patterns of thoughts that has been happening in your mind? Emotions, behaviors. This means paying attention to your internal dialogue. Recognize patterns of self-talks and challenge those thoughts. Don't let them flow in your mind. Challenge them. Change them when they are still there. But you can only do that if you pay attention and understand. Is that the pattern of your thinking, of thoughts you have been having? And ask yourself why. When you start questioning that thought is when you can capture it. Like capture it when it's still in the mind. Why are you feeling down? Why are you talking yourself down? And the only way you change those thoughts now, you need to replace them. Remember, you don't just as a Christian, as a believer, I've seen most of people, they're saying that we rebuke this spirit. Okay, you rebuke the spirit. You can rebuke those thoughts. You have captured them. You can rebuke them. But let me tell you, you need to replace. Like you take something out, you need to replace with the good one. Of course, everything is a spirit. So you need to rebuke that spirit of whatever is going on that is bringing those thoughts. As you take it out, you rebuke it in the name of Jesus Christ. You replace it with the Holy Spirit. You replace with the thought that you want to happen. So you tell yourself what you want and how you wish to think. So you put a new thought in your mind. You don't just pay attention. You don't just recognize the thought. You don't just say, I don't want to think this way. Yes, you don't want to think that way. How do you want to think? Then put a better thought. Put a new thought. And now start building your thoughts. That is how you challenge the thoughts, as well as your emotions and behaviors. Sometimes we behave so unconsciously, and we come to realize this when the result is out, or when we have maybe gotten into something, or we have gotten ourselves into trouble. But do we come back and pay attention and tell ourselves that we are going to act consciously? Just something simple, that you want to drink water, that I'm not going to just get a glass somewhere and just pour water and drink, but I'm going to act consciously. I'm going to check if the glass is clean. I'm going to check if the water is really clean. I'm going to check if nobody has used this glass. I'm just going to make sure that everything is safe for me according to your understanding. So if you start taking those steps consciously, knowing what you are really doing, don't do just because it's a habit. It's something that you do every day and you have gotten used to certain way of living. No, we need to start acting consciously. That can be simply even sometimes, like I'm just giving an example. When I started this journey of conscious living, if I'm doing something, sometimes you want to go somewhere, just you start checking what clothes, the type of clothes you're going to wear, the colors, what are the meaning of those colors. I even go on Google, you check. You don't want to do something and go in an environment that speaks something different. Sometimes the colors, there's how we dress, there's how it speaks. Sometimes someone can read you from your expression, from your appearance. So it's really important, introducing those little steps in our daily lives. Our emotions, why am I feeling this way? Sometimes, if you do wrong, you beat yourself up. I used to be that person. I should have done better. It shouldn't have happened this way. If I could have done this, okay, it has already happened. What do you want to change now? Do you want to change what just happened, of which you cannot? Or do you want to change what you can do tomorrow? That is where I want us to bring focus. We're human beings. We can do mistakes, but what I know, we can also do better. So I would like us to take a moment and reflect on this Bible verse that I just found. And I think it's beautiful. And I would like to share this with you. So in the book of Matthew, chapter 25, verse 15, it says, to one he gave 5 talents, to another 2, to another 1, to each according to his ability. Then he went away. So this verse highlights the concept of stewardship and responsibility. Like Jesus Christ gave his servants the talents. He gave one 5, another one 2, another one 1, and then he went away. So what those servants did, they invested and multiplied those talents they were given. And by doing so, when Jesus came back now, he was checking with everyone. How did they go with what he gave them? So to those servants, the one that was given 5 invested and multiplied it. So he got 5 extra. And the one that had 2 also multiplied it. He got 2 extra. But the one that had 1, he went and buried it somewhere. Not only to bury us, he hid it. He wanted to hide it from everyone because it was worth of something, let's say money or something. So he hid it only because he wanted to show his master that he kept what he entrusted him with. If you can just think about it, that is low self-worth. Because he was afraid of showing up, or maybe trying something with what that talent, let's say a talent or gift that he was given. So first of all, I would like to tell you that this verse highlights the concept of stewardship and responsibility. Each servant is given talents according to their ability. That is very important. We are all given according to our ability. Like, can you imagine? So it's not that we do not have. We have something, but we are given in our ability. Okay. And this symbolizing the resources, the gifts and opportunity that God gives us. And we are expected to use this gift wisely and productively for the glory of God and advancement of His kingdom. So it's very important to understand that we are all have been given something. We all have something that God has entrusted us with and is expecting us to use those gifts, the talents, the opportunities, everything that God has given us for His kingdom. We need to advance His kingdom. And guess what? Advancing His kingdom, that means we need to be of service to other people. That's why we are all to be servicing each other. We all have something that is different from each other. We have unique talents. By doing so, if we multiply, if we work on what we have been given, increase our ability, that means we can also receive more. Because look, when Jesus came back, He rewarded them. And so we will be rewarded. I mean that parable when Jesus was giving example of the master and his servants. So we need to use what we have been given so we can be rewarded. Being rewarded is we increase more. Even in our, like I've had this talk, I'm not sure how it says in English, but if you have something, you get bigger. If you do not have, even what you have will be taken away. That is exactly what they spoke in this parable. That the one that just hided the talent, the master took that talent of him. Because you know what? If we are all been given that, imagine the creativity, understanding, wisdom, and we are not using it, we are just hiding it, you are just keeping it within you. That means it's not benefiting anybody. Then what are you for? What is the reason that you should be given if you are not benefiting anyone surrounding you? If you are not helping anyone with that talent, with that opportunity? I think we can understand. But if you come to check the underlayer of that, the underlining of that struggle is that self-worth. because we do not really truly understand who we are. That's why we're afraid of even showing up. We're thinking, what will people say about us? Dear friend, who cares? Because as far as this life is concerned, no matter how you present yourself, in fact, those with talents, even those that are benefiting us with their talents and opportunities that God has given us, we still speak them. We still talk about them. And one thing about human beings is they're going to talk about you the way they want or the way they feel. So understanding that you're not in control of that will give you peace. You're not in control of what people will speak from their mouth. You are not in control of what people can think in their mind about you. You are not in control of that. And don't even try to be, because it will never happen. So let them be. Be about you. Focus about yourself, your strengths, and how best can you develop yourself. How can you get from that struggle you're into now? How can you overcome? What is it that you need to step forward? That is what it should be about. But about how people look at you, about how what people do, it doesn't really matter. And these are the same people you're still going to live with for the following 10 decades. Like, who knows? So it's better you understand of how you cope with those people. Not only coping. If you understand your self-worth, that will be the best coping mechanism for you. Because self-worth is going to open door for you to set your boundaries. You will have clear boundaries in your life. Even adjust your values. You will never take anything along that does not serve you anymore. We've been talking about self-worth. Can we now try to get to the best definition of self-worth? So that at least we have that clear understanding of what is self-worth. What is self-worth? How do you define your worthiness? Is it by appearance? Is it by your education? Is it by your title? Is it by your beauty, money, your way of clothing, or your way of talking? How do you define worthiness? Please let me know. I'm so curious to know, to hear how you define your own worthiness in the comment section if you're watching this from YouTube. Now, you would be right if you say it's a combination of moral character, actions, intentions, and inherent values that contribute to a person's self-worth, dignity, and integrity. But as a Christ ambassador or as a Christian, and this is according to me now, here is how I define my worthiness. It's living in alignment with my spiritual values, with what I believe to be true, demonstrating compassion, humility, and service towards others, and striving to fulfill my purpose or calling here on earth in accordance with God's will or plan in my life. Simply, it's a reflection of my faith, my belief, devotion, and obedience to God's laws and principles. That is my worthiness. Let me know, how do you define your own worthiness? Share with us. But in terms of human self-development, here is how you can define self-worth. Or maybe this is how you can understand this verse that we just read. That the verse we just read can be understood as this way. As a call for us to recognize and embrace our unique abilities and talents. Because we have unique abilities and talents. It also encourages us to use our gifts to the best of our abilities, regardless of whether we have been given more or less. So whether you have more talents or less talents, we are still expected to use them to our very best. It emphasizes the importance of personal growth, diligence, and stewardship over the resources and opportunities we have been given. And I just want to add something. We are not just only given, you are entrusted. Everything that you have, God has trusted you with. So imagine the creator himself of this universe trusting you with something. Like, you should be walking with your shoulders high. That is what I mean by self-worth. Like, if you know who you are, man, you don't need anything. You don't need nobody to tell you nothing. That gift that you have been given, use it. Use it for the word. Advance his kingdom here on earth. But truly, I really wish as we understand, this term of self-worth from this context, worthiness is being faithful, responsible, and diligent in using that gift and talent that you have been given and all the resources that God has entrusted you with. And this applies to everybody because we are all called for something. And I don't care if you say that you believe in God, you do not believe, but I'm telling you, for the fact you are here on earth, all of us has been given something. We are all characters. We are playing something. You are doing something, whether you know it or you do not know. There is something that you are doing for His kingdom. There is. But the earlier you find it, the better for you or for all of us. And let's help each other, because we are in service for each other. Imagine if I have those gifts and talents, how do you think I'm advancing His kingdom if I am not using them to someone else? Think about it. Everything that you have been given, don't ever look at them, whether it's money, whether it's properties, whatever you've been given, position, it's not yours. It's never yours. Anything that you've been given, just know that it's for someone else. It's for some other people. Only that you're being entrusted that through you, others can benefit. And that is, I think, the most greatest thing about life. If you can be of service to others, if you can help others, lift them up from one place to another, what else are you looking for? That is the best life. And that is where you start finding happiness. Actually, the great happiness, the true happiness, is in serving others. Is when not only serving others in the name, in looking for validation. No, serving others by using your talents and gifts and resources that God has entrusted you with. That is where the true happiness lies. So I would really encourage you today to take your very first step in improving yourself, elevating your self-worth by focusing on your strengths. Commit to personal growth. Become self-aware. Act consciously. And by the grace of God, you'll get to where God wants you to be. I wish you all the best. But let me know, what are your thoughts and opinions about this topic of self-worth? Share with us in the comment section below. If you're listening this from any other platforms, thank you so much for listening. And I encourage you all to give us a subscribe in our different podcast platforms. Follow us and rate our show. Tell us how we're doing. Tell us how we can improve. Tell us what are the topics you want to hear from us. This is How True is a Truth podcast. My name is Jennifer K.O. Until next time.